Welcome, Gemini, to your in-depth weekly astrology overview and the zodiac forecast for week commencing the 4th of May for the ascendant, the sun, or the moon. Going to share the big themes of the week ahead, first of all, Gemini. Then on screen, your event chart on Monday. That always provides an influential backdrop for the whole week. I'll then go through each of the influences frame by frame to give you a clear picture by the end of the video of what you can expect in terms of your energy, work, relationships, and finances. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundel. A very warm welcome. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so now to help it to continue to thrive. But please also click or tap the bell notification symbol. So last week came to an end with that very powerful full moon in the deep and intense sign of Scorpio. But that could have thrown up something to do with your energy. And if your energy did feel a little out of kilter, either it was your emotional or physical vitality, it wouldn't be a surprise. However, as we come into this week, your fleet-footed ruler Mercury, right at the end of last week, made its way into the sign of Taurus, where it can be brilliant around analyzing and thinking about finances. But how will it play out for you personally? Now, we're going to see by the uh, end of the week, by Thursday, Pluto, the planet of power and transformation, go into a long 5 month retrograde in a very important part of your situation for knowledge, for travel, and perhaps also for doing things that expand your world. How will that play out for you too? So on the screen now is your event chart. So we know the moon was for you in the practical sixth house, and the moon in the sixth house asked us to get a little bit more organized. But the intensity of Scorpio may have shown up a situation that was out of kilter between what you're doing and how sacrificing you are, but how is that affecting your emotional energy? Because that's where the sun is. So if you did feel a little bit drained over the weekend, it wouldn't be a surprise. But with Mercury moving into your 12th house late last week and joining up with the sun, if something was left hanging, I think Mercury's encouraging you really to try to think through what the issues may be. Fortunately, the moon in Sagittarius is very open-minded early on Monday, and the moon in the seventh house also likes equilibrium. So if there were some intense scenes, it's now a chance to try to talk things through. And a great opposition with Venus in your sign suggests if you take the initiative, that could be a fine thing to do too. Now, Venus also starts this week in a very solid link to Saturn. You're in a relationship, perhaps a recent relationship, and you're enjoying the tie, even if the full moon did bring up a few things, that angle between Saturn and Venus is very stabilizing if it's going in the right direction. Also, Mars in the part of your chart to do with your long-term plan is in a galvanizing square with Jupiter. If you're clear about that plan, this can be good for finances and give you a lot of passion, but just be sure you're not trying to do too much too quickly. But by Wednesday, Mercury moves forwards and comes into a square with Pluto. There could be a delicate issue, maybe a hangover from the full moon that does need a little bit more discussion or thinking about. And Mercury in a square with Pluto really helps us to cut through the fog and get to what's essential. But maybe it could be a tender issue that comes up as well. Now, by Thursday, with Pluto going retrograde for the next 5 months, that ninth house is intriguing because it's about knowledge, it can be about travel, it can be about higher education, but it can also be about philosophies and contracts too. So over the next 5 months, all of those areas may be those that you review carefully, because if you think back over the last couple of years, that they've probably been a major part of what you've been doing, but now a period of reflection is going to be required. I'm going to summarize those four areas of energy, work, relationships, and finances next, Gemini. But just to say, I've slashed the price of my personal horoscope reports. You order your life roadmap report, which helps us to understand the patterns that have played out in our lives so far, but get a more intimate understanding of them. But you get free your 12 months transit forecast and also your draconic karmic soul analysis. And it's because I've been doing this full time for 30 years. And the more I do, the more I know for sure that knowing our natal chart unlocks so much insight into guiding our moves that much better. Please see below for more. Now, if you've yet to watch your May monthly forecast on the screen now, if you've yet to watch your Pluto 5 month deep dive forecast for the retrograde, that's on the screen too. If you'd like to work with me one to one, it would be a pleasure. Please check out my testimonials below. And if you've yet to take advantage of my free daily written horoscope, find your device each morning for your early day celestial pit stop, please sign up for that below too. So, to summarize, I feel that in any part of your situation, there may be some things that have come into the open that are rather more delicate and sensitive. And one of the areas may be if you're putting so much in to managing your job, the domestic load, and being very responsible for everyone else's needs. I think the full moon's reminding you it's also important to make sure that how things feel and how your emotional mindset is with those obligations. And what Pluto has done over that full moon and will do over the next 5 months is ask you to think about what your strategy is going to be going forwards. However, when it comes to your love life, if a tie that's been developing is going well, that link between Venus and Saturn could be really strong and help to bring more stability. But if something isn't working so well, I think Mercury's square to Pluto at the heart of this week could see something into the open that you didn't know that is a bit more confidential or even tender, which could see you think again. And with Uranus in that first house now of your sign, you are really being encouraged to cut through from anything which no longer serves your greater good. When it comes to your professional situation, if you are wanting to go for it, I think Mars in that square with Jupiter can give you a lot of conviction and confidence. And you could just, if you fake it, you could just make it. And that could be good around finances too. And the North Node continues to be right at the top of your chart. So by the end of July, the opportunity to end up in the kind of role that you've truly yearned for could happen almost uh, by by osmosis. It's been a pleasure being with you, Gemini. Thank you so much for joining me, and look forwards to seeing you again soon.